Hi, Michelle Markham with Good Day Stateline, and I'm in the temporary home of the Local History and Genealogy Room of the Rockford Public Library, along with librarian assistant Jean Lithgow. My friend Kathy calls you, Jean, one of the goddesses of local history. So I wasn't surprised when I learned lots about you in the past few days. So the reason we're here, St. Patrick's Day's here, and I'm an Irish girl, a very Irish girl. Half McGinn, half O'Brien.
Wonderful.
Yes. So a few years ago, my dad and I decided to do our family genealogy. So we started down the path of, gathering facts and different information. I really wanted to meet with you today because you're this amazing resource that they have here, and of course, all of the resources that the library has to offer. And how do people get started kind of on their family history as they want to get into their genealogy of their family?
Okay, the best thing is to actually start with yourself, or sometimes people start with their children or their grandchildren, collecting facts and oral tradition. Get those stories from all the family members that are still alive. If you can record them on tape or with a DVD, something like that, that's really wonderful. And update your technology as technology changes, please, so you don't lose it. But you take all those wonderful family stories, and then you can start comparing them with the official records. Knowing that the stories may have grown over time, and knowing that, yes, official records can also not be right. I hate to tell you that, but everything, you have to measure everything and weigh it and see what works out best.
I learned with my family genealogy that when some of the Irish women came over from Ireland, when they left Ireland, they may have been in their 30s. But when they got here, amazingly, they were 25 or younger because they jotted down what age they wanted to be.
Right. It's that good Atlantic air as they're coming over.
So, rumor has it that you've worked here for probably since you were old enough to read, I hear. Well, maybe not that long?
No, I started when I was 18.
And how did this love of local history and genealogy start for you?
Well, I think I've always been interested in it to a certain extent. My father was 4 when his family came over. And some of my mother's family, who are actually Scotch-Irish or Scottish-Irish or Ulster-Irish, came over about the time of the potato famine. So.
Okay. That's when my family came over as well.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't realize that, well, my family didn't come in through Ellis Island. Most Irish immigrants came in through Philadelphia.
A lot of them did. Some of them came in through Canada, too.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah, because you're not immigrating to a foreign country. You're going to another part of the British Empire.
Right, right. Okay, so anything fun or remarkable you've learned over the years that you were really surprised about or just that really fascinated you?
Well, I think one of the things that is often very characteristic of Irish families, but not necessarily everyone, over in Ireland, if you can make the connection to your family over there, the chances are that that family has lived there for a few hundred years. They tend not to move around as much as we do in America.
I know that going through the genealogy and stuff in Ireland, a lot of the spellings had changed. The parishes seemed to change. So doing a lot of research and then knowing that a lot of the documents were in the churches in the local counties and parishes over there.
Right. Yeah.
So like you said, get that family history and learn and try to write as much down. So some tips as they get started. Maybe, okay, so they're in Rockford. They want to get started on their family history. Do they come in here? Do they come see you? Do they come see Marie, I believe?
Any of us are happy to get you started. It's a lot of fun. It's the kind of hobby or passion or obsession that you that you can put as little or as much time into it and money as you like. So we always say, let's do this as inexpensively as possible. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of good resources. Come here and use them first. So we can show you ways to begin. If your family's been here for maybe 100 years or more, we can show you the censuses and where they were living. And you might even find, and we have a subscription to Ancestry, so please come and use ours at any of our locations. Yeah, it's the library edition. You can use your flash drive or make printouts, whatever works. Find the census records, find where they were. You might find the emigration records. Mm-hmm. You might find the name of the ship they came over on if you don't know that yet.
My family came over on the Leinster Lass. That was the name.
Fun.
Through Southern Ireland, through Liverpool, and then over here. What's the oldest census that you have? How far back?
Well, The federal censuses begin in 1790
Wow.
because we were just a brand new country then, and they wanted to know who was out there. And that would, from 1790 through the 1840 census, it will only list head of household, and then they'll have numbers for age groups, men ages under 10, men 10 to 17, that sort of thing. And so you can find out which of the kids, the ages of the kids at that point. But most of the time it's going to be the men. I lucked out on an 1840 census because Neely had died, so Polly was head of household for the 1840 census.
Aha.
So that was a clue. Look, there she is. Now, by 1850, she's remarried, but that's just one of the clues you might find.
I also learned that they use the same names over and over and over again. So I had trouble with, like, okay, there was Edward, and then there was Edward Joseph to Edward Michael to Edward, Christopher, and then they had a Frank, and then they all had Franks, and trying to figure out, okay, which is the dad, which is the son, the uncle. So that was fun compiling all of that information.
Yeah, and because if you're living in the same community, the older Frank might be known as Frank Sr., the younger Frank is Frank Jr. That doesn't mean they're father and son. They could be grandfather and grandson, they could be uncle and nephew, or just some of the different combinations that are out there.
My grandpa was Edward, Ned, and then he had an Edward, Ed. So yeah, trying to figure out all those names was always very interesting. And I loved, the one part that I really liked is learning family names. I was really excited to learn some of the names that had been in my family for, hundreds of years. And, and how old some of these names are. And you go, okay, this is really neat.
It's fantastic, and you try to find the birth and death dates for people. And sometimes it's nice to find where they were buried, too. If you can find where they might have farmed, it's always fun to go there. I've known genealogists who say, I put my feet on the land that my ancestors owned.
See, that just gives me goosebumps.
Yeah.
I think that's amazing. Is there a list of websites that you can think off the top of your head where people can kind of get started as well, compiling information? I know, if they have the Ancestry, or they can come here and use yours.
Yeah.
Is there a newspaper one that I know a lot of people get their information from?
There's a couple of newspaper ones out there. There's a newspaperarchives.com. There's genealogybank.com, which has a lot of Rockford newspapers in it, too. And a lot of these, sometimes they'll have a special freebie weekend or something like that, particularly like Memorial Day or Labor Day weekend or something like that. And those are always good if you kind of want to put your toes in the water. Yeah.
And then they can always come in here in the interim library, which is gorgeous, by the way. And then like our backdrop here is, books, and it's just, I don't know, there's such a rich history when you bring, no matter where all of these things are, it's still right here.
Yeah.
I love it.
And even in Rockford, there were like 3 Irish patches. Most of them were down in southwest Rockford.
Okay.
And it's like every immigrant group has, sorry to say, been discriminated against. Those of us that have studied some of the Irish history know that there would be things like NINA in signs in store windows. No Irish need apply.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, when my family came over, my maiden name is McGinn, and it was MEGIN, and then it became MCGINN because the designation of Mick.
Right.
So it was like, okay, automatically, oh, you're Irish, here you go.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it was misspellings too. They couldn't read the E, so they thought it was a C. Or even, and that's another thing I found out, that there was a lot of misspellings with last names.
Oh, yes.
So search around the names. Like some of the stuff was M-O and M-A, and you'd be surprised. I was like, oh, that's part of my family as well.
Right.
Okay, so how can our viewers get in touch with you here at the library?
Well, the library is open 9 to 8, Monday through Thursday, and 9 to 5, Friday and Saturday.
Okay.
So there's always someone who can get you started on it.
Well, thank you very much.
We'll be right back with a chat between local stars Emily Bear and Eyewitness News' Eric Wilson.